How's it going, guys? It's Housey here, and I want to go ahead and go through how to reload 223 for the AR platform. I'm going to kind of show you probably one of the cheapest setups to use, which is what I use. And when you think about it, when you're thinking about how much you want to spend on your reloading equipment, kind of the way that I've realized is you have to weigh how much effort you're willing to put into it versus the price of the equipment. So yeah, you could do it a lot. You could put in a lot less effort than the way that I do it, or at least a good amount less than the way that I do it, but you're not going to be able to use that process with the amount of money that I've put into the equipment that I have. So the way I think about it is that I'm willing to put in a little bit more time to get my quality rounds versus spending, $500 on a press, because I just don't see the point in that. And that's me personally. If you use that kind of equipment or you have the money to use on it, then that's awesome. I wish I did, but I don't. So I'm going to go through the one of the cheaper ways to get it done. And keep in mind, all of this is going to be based on reloading 223 for the AR platform, because it is very different than if you're reloading it for bolt action rifle, because you have a lot of different restrictions on an AR platform versus a bolt action rifle, like your cartridge overall length, because in an AR you're limited to your magazine size. In a bolt action rifle, you have a lot more leeway in how long you want your cartridge to be. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start with the equipment that you're going to need, and then I'm going to move into the components that you're going to need to get. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to have to think about is what kind of press you want to get. There's all kinds out there. There's single stage like this one is. This is a Lee press. It's just probably one of the most basic ones that you can get besides hand presses. Or there's progressives that will allow you to be loading multiple cartridges at one time. This is obviously only going to be loading one round at a time. So this is where you're going to start thinking about how much effort or time you're willing to put into reloading your ammo versus how much you want to spend on the equipment. Lee is by far the cheaper option. You got RCBS and other presses like that, like Hornady, that are probably going to, as far as their progressive presses, or even the Lee progressive ones, they're going to be more expensive, but the trade-off is you're loading multiple rounds at a time. For me, just getting into it, a single stage press for a beginner is probably the best route to go. If you're experienced at reloading, or you've done it for a long time, or you can be mentored by somebody that can teach you how to do it, then go ahead and start it with a progressive. But if you're brand new to it and you're learning everything by yourself, maybe you don't have a mentor to help you out, a single stage is probably the best option. Alright, so the next couple pieces of equipment that you're going to need are a shell holder for your press. This for the Lee press is a number 4 shell holder. Basically it holds your shell or your case in place while you manipulate it up and down into the different dies to shape it or do other operations. The next pieces that you're going to need are some kind of tool for trimming your case. Alright, this again is a Lee case trimmer. This part here is set for different lengths for different cartridges. This is the one for the 223. The top up here is what actually trims your case. Alright, and then this is the shell holder piece, and this back piece comes with it, is for any kind of standard drill. Basically it spins your case for you, so all you have to do is press the trimmer into the case and it'll be spinning automatically and it trims it to the right length. The next thing you're going to need is some type of chamfering and deburring tool. Alright, it's going to trim the inside and outside of your case. This does both. Again, it's also made by Lee and it's pretty cheap as well. The next thing is a primer pocket cleaner. This one has a small side and a large side for small rifle, large rifle. Alright, and then kind of optional is some kind of primer crimp removal tool. If you plan on using Lake City brass or the PMC X-Tac, I believe it has a PSD head stamp, has primer crimps on it. This will take it right out. Alright, and then going back to when you're trimming your case, I haven't had any problems with this trimmer, but you're going to need to double check. It's always best to double check anyways, the actual length that it's trimming to. And so you're going to need some kind of caliper like this. This is a Cobalt one. It's one of the cheaper ones. I think it was like $30. But it does the job and it's pretty darn accurate. Alright, and then probably the most important part that you're going to need to get besides the press are the dies for whatever cartridge you're going to do. For 223, you have this set here. It's the Lee 3-piece die set. The first die is your D primer and full-length resizing die. Alright, it does both operations at once. The second die is your bullet seating die. Basically, it's going to set your bullet into the case however deep you set it. And then the last one is a crimping die. You don't have to crimp your cases, but for AR it's recommended, just because it gives your case a little bit more stability as far as holding on to the bullet, which if you're using the AR you might be throwing around mags and stuff like that. So it's just a little added security in holding the bullet in place inside of the cartridge. Alright, two other things that you're going to need for your reloading equipment is a lubricant for your cases, which you're going to need to put on the cases before you put them into your press to run them through the dies. This is the Lee resizing lubricant that came with the Lee set. And this is another one which is a spray. That's a little bit easier because you can just go ahead and throw all your cases into a holder like this one and then just spray them down with any kind of spray lube like this one, which I think is awesome because it is water rinsable. So going into later in my following videos, when I show you how I actually reload, that'll come in handy because I actually rinse my cases. But basically there are a whole bunch of different kinds of lubricants out there. Just find one that you like, and it really doesn't make all that much of a difference. Alright, so the next thing you're going to need is a way to measure your powder. When you're starting out, you're going to have to develop the load that works best with your rifle. So what you're going to have to do at first is you're going to be hand measuring each load that goes into your cartridges. That's the way I did it to develop my rounds, and I'll talk about it later, more specifically when I get into actually reloading. But some options you have are digital scales, like this one. This is a cheaper Frankfurt Arsenal digital scale. It comes with a calibration weight and a powder holder there. There's a lot more expensive digital scales like the RCBS ones and other ones like that. This is one of the cheapest ones that you're going to find, and it's pretty accurate. The next thing is standard scales like this one from Lee. There's all kinds out there. Basically you set it to whatever powder weight in grains that you want to be using and pour it in until it levels out. Pretty simple. Once you figure out what load works best for your rifle, then you can start using a tool like this one. This is a Lee powder dispenser. Alright, basically you set in the back here the volume of powder, so it's going to take a little playing around with figuring out what the exact volume for the amount of grains that you're wanting to pour, which is where the digital scale comes back into being handy. and then once you set it, measure it a couple times, make sure it's accurate, and then all you have to do is pull the handle down and it drops the correct charge. Just like that, and then you're going to pour it into your cartridge. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to need to get are reloading handbooks. They're going to give you charts with different suggested starting loads and maximum loads. And they're also, probably the more important part for a newer reloader, is they're going to give you a lot of background information on all the ins and outs of reloading cartridges. It's got great information. Like this Lee one, it's got about the first quarter of the book is nothing but background information and things that you need to know, and then the rest of it are charts like these ones that are going to give you your starting grains, the volume, which is helpful for the Lee powder dispenser, and then other information like your maximum don't exceed grain loads. Alright, so also I recommend getting more than one, because different ones, like just between these two here, they have different starting loads for, or different suggested starting loads for cartridges that are the same. They also have different maximum loads for cartridges that are the same. So it's good to have more than one perspective on it. And also, besides just reading through these books, it's good to get other information. If you can, the most ideal situation is to get hooked up with somebody who's been doing it for a long time and can walk you through the process. I'm going to try to do the best I can to show you how I do it, but it's best to have somebody in person that you can ask questions to. Alright, so as far as reloading components go, the first thing that you're going to need to decide on is what kind of bullet and what weight of bullet you want to use. It's going to be mostly decided by what kind of barrel you have and what the twist rate is, because different weights are going to work best with different twist rates. So just do your research and figure out what's best for you, and then also what you're trying to do with that bullet. There's all kinds of different bullet tips out there and bullet types, so just figure out what you mostly plan on using them for, and then and you don't have to stick to one type of bullet. You can develop all kinds of loads for your rifle, but just do your research and figure out what works best for what you're trying to do and for your rifle. The next thing that you're going to need is casings. Alright, this is just a PMC case. There's all kinds out there. There's Lake City on the military side, there's Federal, there's Remington, PMC, all kinds out there, and then, you know, like the match grade stuff like Lapua cases. There's all kinds. Alright, and the next thing you have to decide on is what kind of primers you want to use. There's also all kinds of those too. I use Winchester primers mostly because that's what was available when I first got into reloading, and it works well with what I do and the combination of loads that I use. So for 223, you're going to be using small rifle primers, so that's just what I use. And then probably one of the most important things is going to be your powder. There's all kinds of powders too. In your loader's handbook, there's all kinds of charts for different powders and different loads, so just look into that and figure out what you want to use. I started out using this Winchester 748, and then just through experimentation, I've realized that with this Hornady VMAX 53 grain bullet, the Accurate 2015 powder actually works the best for me. And what I'm running for my load is the Hornady VMAX 53 grain bullet with 23.1 grains of the Accurate 2015 powder, and that gives me sub MOA out of my rifle. And I don't have a match grade barrel or anything like that. It's just a standard barrel, nothing special about it, but I can get less than an MOA out to distance with that, so I'll call that pretty good. especially for cheaper components, because the VMAX bullets are well priced. Alright, so I hope I showed you a couple different options for getting into reloading on the cheaper side. Like I said, there's all kinds of other options out there if you've got more money and you don't want to put so much time or effort into making your rounds, or if you're reloading for quantity, a single stage press and the way that I do things probably might not be the best option for you. But if you're reloading small quantities, like 100, 200 rounds here and there, it's a good option for it, and definitely for the price bracket that you're looking at, it's a good option. So if you guys have any other suggestions or comments, please let me know and post them below. Also subscribe, and I will be following this up with actually going through my entire reloading process, so stick around for that. Thanks. Halsey out.